Howdy, my name is Nolan T. Painter, and before I start the video, you might recognize that it's a little different here. I'm borrowing a camera from the school, and I thought I would try something out. Now, don't expect this to be the new norm, because I'll be heading home soon, and I'll probably just have access to my phone, and I can't have the camera for forever, but I promise you, whenever I have a camera, I'll be sure to record something a bit better in quality. Now, back to the video. I've been talking about this, I think it's 4 if we include the first video part series now, where I discuss what it means to be a man. And I listed out 7 things you gotta let go of and 7 things you have to become. Now, in the first video I just went over, in the second video we went over lust, in the third video, which was just, I think the last one, we just went over pride. And today we are talking about letting go of emotions. Now, the first thing you probably think of is, oh, emotions, so you're gonna tell me to be stoic. No, that's not the case. The reality is a stoic man is not a good man for a woman. Because a stoic man is silent, and a stoic man is not caring or empathetic. So, that's not necessarily what is meant for a woman. What I mean here is, by letting go of your emotion, you're letting go of your emotion leading your life. You need, similar to stoicism, to acknowledge your emotions, recognize them so you can reflect on your emotions, right? How am I feeling? Why am I feeling this? What is causing this? And how can I reconcile and find a solution to these emotions? And then, calmly, put them to the side and find a logical, clear solution to lead. Because a man is supposed to be a leader, and a leader is not someone who will fall into the pitfalls of their own emotions. So, a big emotion for men is fear. Men are often very worrisome or fearful. They're terrified of failing, telling their partner the wrong thing, trying and unsuccessfully finding a partner, and just generally making mistakes. And that plagues men's lives. But the reality is, if you can recognize how fearful you are, find why you're fearful, then you can tackle the problem much easier than being ignorant and not acknowledging how you feel whatsoever. Which might sound counterproductive. Why is this boy telling you that you should have feelings as a man when he himself says he wants to be masculine? Well, the truth is, a masculine man is actually in touch with how he feels. An idiot of a man does not know how he feels. You're not masculine, you're an idiot. A masculine man recognizes his feelings. And I'm being courageous by saying this, because you won't ever see a man out nowadays say this stuff, right? Even my own male family members don't like talking about this stuff, so I'm being a little brave here. But a man must be recognizing his feelings and in tune with them, right? But again, what separates you from being a woman is that you don't let these feelings lead you. Remember that. You can be upset, you can be happy, you can be sad, frustrated, angry, lustful, greedy, prideful, humble, anything. But you need to take all these emotions, find out why they're happening and how it's impacting you, then put them to the side respectfully and lead with logic. Now, what makes this so relatable to being a good man is because if you want to be a good man, you want to find that good woman. And a good woman will compliment you amazingly. You know how I kind of talked about in another video how being a good man will naturally make a woman more feminine, and that's something incredibly beautiful? Well, a good woman will make a man more masculine, because not only she'll do all these tests and whatnot, but she will care for you and allow you to reconcile with emotion better. A really good woman will see when you're pushing your emotion to the side and really fighting your own emotion to be a leader, and she'll take the time to hold you and love you and care for you, so that way you're no longer worried or having problems with your emotion, and she'll be emotional for you, right? That way you can focus on being a leader and be more masculine. Again, remember, being masculine here is having that familiarity with how you feel and finding ways to solve it, right? A strong man is not someone who just experiences bad emotions and then ignores them. A strong man is someone who experiences bad emotions, acknowledges them, finds ways to solve them, respectfully puts them to the side, right? Doing his due diligence, and then continuing on, right? Now turning that poor emotion into motivation. That's what a strong man is. And if your goal is to be a strong man, then you gotta find a way to let go of your emotions controlling you. And a woman will help this a lot. Now, again, being this fearfulness, men are often worried about asking for things. So let me tell you, there's nothing more precious than asking for something from a partner, especially a woman. And now you could be thinking, oh, isn't it awkward? Isn't it weird? No. If you two are both incredibly aware and familiar with each other, then it will never be awkward. Because let's say you as a man go up to your partner and say, hey honey, I didn't appreciate how you were talking to that guy. Do you think you could, cut him off, and then I would feel a bit more comfortable? Now the average woman might see that and go, oh, and the average man would say that and feel like he's being embarrassed or that he's being disrespectful. But a good man and a good woman, a good man will say that and he'll feel brave and be genuine, and a good woman will see that, acknowledge that he just wants help and he's trying his best not to be awkward, and in recognizing that, she will say to herself, I will do as this man asks because I care for him, and I will be respectful of what he's saying because we're both just trying to have proper communication like adults and not let our feelings drive us. So please have that healthy communication, especially if you are worried about your partner, right? Oh, I was worried I said something wrong, or I was worried I did something wrong, or I was worried of failing, or I'm pushing you away. Have these conversations because it's so much better than having the fear. Because as a man, you can't always reconcile with your fear. You're not perfect. You can't always overcome these challenges. That's why you need a woman to help you. That's why you need her to help. But you can't have her help if you're not communicating. So you need that communication. I gotta remember to write it down somewhere. I love communication. I think it's an incredibly important thing, and I'd love to make a video on it. So I've written here, just going through all my notes, a good man will recognize and come to terms with his emotions so they don't lead him. A poor man will abuse his emotions to rationalize how he feels, right? Oh, I failed the test because I was hungry, or I was upset, or I wasn't feeling good. No, you failed the test because you weren't strong enough to acknowledge those feelings and then push harder and use them as motivation. You failed the test because you didn't study enough. You failed the test because you're an idiot and you gotta work harder. It's the honest truth, but it hurts. That's why people like to fall into their emotion. Right? And then this will result in a lot of fear if you don't try and overcome your emotions or healthily acknowledge them. And having a good woman will help this so much. I cannot underestimate that. Or I cannot overstate that, the fact that a good woman will be so helpful in that regard, especially if you're both in tune with it and always trying to improve your relationship. Because a relationship can never, a relationship on that level can never fail. Because I think I've said this before, if you do something good, then the relationship gets better. If you do something bad and then talk about why it's bad and then work together to make it better, it gets better. So communication will solve all problems. Assuming you're both aspiring to be a good man and a good woman. Now, this also is converted to being a good leader. Because whether supported or not, if you're able to control your emotions, then you can lead more effectively. A leader who is always pushed by his own emotion, regardless of what it is a poor leader because he's not thinking straight and he's not properly considering. If you have a partner who you should be considerate of, if you're always leading off of your emotions, right? Oh, I'm sad, so I'm not thinking about it. Or I'm happy, so I'm going to do what I want. That's a poor leader. And we even see this in modern day celebrities, or not necessarily celebrities, but what you consider to be successful men. Andrew Tate is a strong leader. However, his ambition led him to forget how to actually have a proper relationship. He doesn't have a real relationship with somebody. Or not necessarily somebody, but with a woman, as far as I'm aware. Now, I'm not challenging his life. He lives quite a lovely life, and he's got good family. But personally, I would like to have that beautiful relationship with a woman. And letting my ambition lead me outside of that relationship is dangerous. So I need to reconcile with my ambition. And we saw this with Hamza, right? Who allowed his ambition to pull him away from being wise and in tune with his audience. And we saw the consequences of that. And I wish that I can be in tune with my wisdom and not let my ambition pull me away from that. And we even saw this with David Goggins, right? Same thing with the ambition. All three of them, as far as I'm aware, are not happily married or have a beautiful partner. So, as my goal as a man to work hard to have this partner, I need to be familiar with all of my emotion and acknowledge how can I use this in a positive way to have a healthy relationship with someone, not just focusing on my own personal ambition. And this is really difficult because men often think, oh yeah, I'm just going to be ambitious and work hard. But you need a purpose. Like, why are you working hard? Who are you doing this for? What emotions are you going to reconcile with? How often are you going to do it? If you can't do it often, is someone going to help you? Probably not. So you just got to get better, right? And of course, a woman will help a lot with that. Now, how would you do this? Well, I talked about reconciling with your emotions, recognizing them, trying to take the time to understand. This stuff is really hard, right? Especially as a man, no one teaches us this. People teach women this stuff, and they're encouraged to develop and embellish in their own emotions, but men aren't. So this is hard. You just have to put in the effort and try a lot and take time. It'll take years, but if you're conscious of it, it'll do good. But abandon what causes your fear, right? If your fear is your partner, well then talk with your partner and abandon these worriments. Like, don't leave your partner, but work through them, right? Work with your partner, find common ground, right? If you're so worried about something, abandon that worriment by solving the problem. We're men, we solve problems. So why are you so scared to talk about it? Why are you so scared to address how you feel? If you knew that talking about how you feel and, trying to address the problem would solve it, why don't you do that? Right? And then forget about obsession, right? Because as a man, as a male individual, you have two types of emotions. You have a healthy masculine, not emotion. You have two types of obsession. You have a healthy masculine obsession. Whoa, I cannot talk. You have two types of obsession. You have a healthy masculine obsession, which means you're basically pushing for something, or you're working your life away for a very healthy and life-fulfilling goal, like a woman. That would be like a healthy obsession. Or you have the other alternative, which is a boy obsession, which you're not working on your life, you're not working hard, you're just chasing something because you're unhealthy and you're thinking in the wrong space. So you have to abandon that unhealthy obsession and acknowledge what would be a healthy obsession, right? Being obsessed with going to the gym, with studying hard, finding a way to love so you can all become a better man in every facet, and rich not just in money, but in faith, and love, and kindness, and so much more. That is a healthy obsession. What is unhealthy is chasing after a girl because you think she looks good, and then doing a bunch of lustful activities because you're a boy and you're an idiot, versus a man who's much wiser and masculine. So abandon that little boy obsession, and you only recognize that if you're in tune with your feelings and acknowledge everything you're feeling on the inside and finding ways to solve it. And then humble yourself, which I talked about with the Pride video. I recommend watching it, but you gotta humble yourself. If you'd like me to discuss that more, then watch the Pride video. But if you don't humble yourself, you can't be a good leader. You can't acknowledge your emotions effectively. And then have confidence. If you want to remove your emotion of fear, then have confidence. Stop worrying about what if this, what if that. What if you actually did it? What if you actually made it? Though I did just crap on him a little, I do appreciate David Goggins, and especially his what if motto. What if you were a millionaire? What if you were a billionaire? What if you did get the girl of your dreams? What if you did get all the sports cars? What if you did live in the beautiful house? What if you did have amazing children? What if you did go to the right schools, right? What if you did put in the work and studied well? What if you pulled off this miracle? What if you did it? What if? Well, there's only one way to find out. Do it. What if you did talk to your partner that you were so worried about? What if you did discuss the things that you were so awkward and scared to discuss, right? What if you did discuss your own emotions among yourself, and then upon reconciling with those emotions, what if you actually found a solution? And then in that solution, what if you actually moved towards it and talked about it? And then what if you actually solved the problem? That sounds like a pretty good case to me. And then nothing leads to nothing. This was from a church service I went to. The pastor said nothing leads to nothing. So this effectively means, it's as simple as it sounds, it's all about understanding and appreciating the word itself. If you do nothing, nothing happens. If you sit there and let your emotions consume you, then nothing will happen. If you don't try to make change, nothing will happen. Nothing. Right? And so many people will hear this and go, okay, yeah, so what? Do you want to be successful? Probably. Do you want to live a nice life? Probably. Do you want to have a nice family? Probably. Do you want money? Probably. Do you want to not fail? Probably. Okay, well, if you sit here wanting that, nothing's going to happen. Because wanting it isn't enough. Life's not about wanting things. Life's about doing things, especially as a good man. So doing nothing's not going to help. You need to do something, especially if you want someone, because someone is better than anything. So do it. Go do something. And this probably is the hardest part, but it will prove to be the most faithful in your growth. Letting go and controlling your emotions in a healthy way is really difficult as a man. Because, like, you'll catch yourself. You'll be, even here, I'm being very passionate. And my passion is leading the way I'm talking and controlling me. So I gotta control myself a little bit and acknowledge that, hey, how can we use this in a positive manner if it gets unhealthy? Right now, I don't think this is incredibly unhealthy. I think this is actually rather healthy. But this health came from a lot of unhealth and recognizing that. I hated my life. I still kind of do. I hated a lot of things that I was doing, but only upon realizing all that hate. And instead of just consuming myself within it, I reconciled with it, and now I'm able to find this beautiful passion. But I wouldn't get that without doing something and without acknowledging the emotion. So, takeaways of the video, because I think I've gone over it pretty well. Let go of your emotions in the sense, letting go of how they lead you. Don't let your emotions lead you. A good woman will make you more masculine because she will be emotional for you and she will help you overcome those challenging times. Remember, a good woman, not just any woman, a good woman. But this takes time and you need a lot of communication and you need to be brave and understanding of each other and that it's not awkward, you're just trying to help. And, of course, if you want to be a good leader and be successful in life, and this is the hard part, but you really have to be familiar with how you're feeling at all times. And it is masculine to be familiar with your emotions. You're an idiot if you're not, because you can take advantage of all your emotions to make yourself such a better person and such a better man in a relationship. And love is an emotion. And if you really want to be loving, then you gotta embrace that emotion. And you gotta reconcile and be wise with it and smart with it, so you do not use it in such a bad way. You must use it for good. That's your responsibility as a man. And it's not feminine for you to do that. In fact, it's incredibly masculine. Because a man who is not in tune with his emotions is not masculine, he's an idiot. And a man who uses his emotions, whether good or bad, for the betterment of humanity, that is a good man. My name is Nolan T. Painter. Thank you very much for watching.